Hello, and welcome to Mind Vomit. Here's Manfred von Ryn messing with some of my resin projects. That rocket's fine because I'm not really going to use it for anything. But in this video, I was working on a Polynesian Moai head for a project that was coming up. So I got this file from Thingiverse, and I will pop up on the screen who I got it from. And I did make sure to tip him some money for usage, so make sure to pay your people. So I got this file from him, and I added a back to it, and I'm trying to create like a base and walls around it so I can pour silicone in there so that I can make a silicone mold of it. And these eventually got turned into hair pieces for an event that we were going to. So here I am making the wall of the mold, and this is just a cavity where I'm going to pour silicone into and then later resin cast it. But this is what I've been doing in the background. I thought I should make a video of this. I've talked about it quite a bit, but I just never got around to it. Here I'm making a cut in the actual base so that I can pop it off of the resin printer's plate easier. I've done this before, but I made this one kind of big, and so I had to tape it up because I forgot to print supports to hold it. And usually I make them smaller so I don't have to worry about it usually, but the tape worked. So here I have the resin printed, 3D printed mold of the Moai head. And I used Tech Defiant silicone, and the reason why is because I found it to work the best. I was using smooth on, but it was reacting with the resin if I didn't clean it super well. So these molds I cleaned really well. I even cleaned them with alcohol and water, even though I used water washable resin. And then I used UV light at all different angles for like almost the whole day. So I mixed up the silicone here. The silicone worked really well. The only thing about it is sometimes there's really tiny air bubbles in it, and I don't have a vacuum chamber to degas it. So there's some super tiny bubbles sometimes, but I think they usually work out just fine. Here I'm pouring new molds for my cute skull earrings that I will eventually be putting on Etsy. So if you're watching this video, they will be put on Etsy over the next few weeks. And I use Let's Resin solid color epoxy resin pigments, and I also use Let's Resin transparent resin dyes. And as you'll see here in just a second, I also got multi glitter pack from Amazon, and so I'm showing these here, and this stuff really goes a long way. I chose Let's Resin and stuff because I watch a guy on YouTube, Steve McDonald crafts, and he recommends that. I also use this Let's Resin 3 times UV protected resin so that the UV light doesn't mess with it. And here I'm pouring part A, and then I'm going to pour part B here, and you just mix them to a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not by weight, it's just by, you measure it on the side of the cup. This is what I use to cast all these molds, and it works out pretty well. I do have a pressure pot that I put them in though, to pop all the bubbles, and I got that from Harbor Freight, and I just modified it with a bike valve stem and a gauge. I'm testing out the color that I want for the Moai head because I had to make like 20 of these, so I just wanted to see what this mixture is going to be like. So I did a little gray with some black glitter, and I think I added some white glitter to kind of tone down the black glitter to make it more gray, but it looked kind of cool. It came out looking kind of like stone-like with a little bit of glitter in it, so that worked out really well. And this is just really satisfying to watch when you see these glitters blend in with the resin, and it just makes these cool colors. And seeing that one glitter that's kind of yellowy green, which is actually the white glitter. I don't know why it's yellowy green, but it looks cool. And this is just pouring it in the mold. Probably not as satisfying as watching colors be mixed, but it works. Here I'm just kind of giving it a little squeeze, tapping it, trying to get the bubbles to the surface, before I put it in the pressure pot. Like I said, I watched Steve McDonald's Arts and Crafts, and he says to use a lighter to pop the surface bubbles because a torch could ruin the silicone. And so that's what I was doing there, because I'm just following his recommendations. And here I'm starting to mix up just random colors for the skulls, because I'm just always trying new colors, new color variants for these skull earrings. I'm always making them different. There might be a couple that might be the same color scheme, and I might keep making some of those the same color scheme, but for the most part every single one of them's different. So this one was obviously like a pink glitter. I added like a pink glitter, and then I added a couple drops of like a transparent rose red color. This one I was going for a kind of a blue-green color. Right now it looks green, but I eventually added a few drops of blue in there to make it more of a blue-green, and I just wanted these to be just completely transparent. So this one was an experiment where I tried to take the leftover blue-green and put gold metal flake in there. I thought it would turn out differently, but what you have to keep in mind with these molds is the metal flake sinks to the bottom. So it was like all green on the bottom, but cold metal flake in the face. So wasn't much of a fan of it, but you live, you learn, you try to do things, you know. These are all the molds I did. That rocket mold was just, I designed that for another hair piece once, and I just poured all my leftover resin in there as just something, you know, a way to get rid of excess resin. At least it's cool to see how the colors mix. Here I'm putting the pressure pot, tightening these down, and then I use a bike pump because I can't make a lot of noise where I live with an air compressor. So I use a bike pump to 30 psi, and then I let it sit overnight. So all that pressure's popping those bubbles. I'm going to release the pressure in the pot, and you can tell that Manfred here, or Manny, is very curious about what I'm doing. He came around quite a bit in this video. He's come around while I'm recording this voiceover right now, so I'll have to cut that out of the video. And these are the results of the molds. And keep in mind, I designed these molds myself. I'm not buying molds. I'm designing them in Fusion 360. A lot of times I'll create a 2D sketch in Adobe Illustrator. I'll export it as a DXF file. I bring that DXF file into Fusion 360, and then I extrude all the pieces and make the molds myself. 3D model them in Fusion 360. Then I 3D print them on the resin printer so that I can pour these silicone molds, and then once I have these silicone molds, I resin cast these. Those skull molds though, that's a tongue twister. Those skull molds, once they're resin printed, I polish the face of the skull so that it has a smooth finish. In other words, you will always have like this kind of like matte texture finish. So on the skulls, I at least polish the face. And, these are some orange ones I did with like a chunky glitter, and they would have been great had I just done either the skull or the background in that color and done a separate color, because all the glitter in the face kind of made it lose some of the details. And of course, here's Manfred again. He's messing with all of my stuff, and I would rather him not mess with the skulls. So he's playing with that rocket there, so I figured, you know what, if I just push that rocket around here and there, maybe he will play with that and not pay attention to the cute skulls that I made, because I really don't want him to mess those up, because if I'm going to sell them, I don't really want him messing them up. But this guy gets into everything. This dude, he's always so curious in like everything I do, and it makes it hard to film. It makes it hard to record audio, like this audio that he interrupted. But that's all right. He's a pretty good dude, and he's the family buddy. So this is a yellow skull I made. Not really a fan of this one either. It's kind of a yellow gold glitter and just didn't look right. The Moais turned out great, and what had happened is I made 20 of those, and then my wife used them to make like hair pieces with flowers and stuff. But anyway, thanks for watching.